Welcome back to another episode of Paint Society. My name is Brian, and today in this episode, I'm going to show you what is the best budget clear coat and one of the easiest clear coats to use for someone that is a do-it-yourselfer or someone on a budget, even in the body shop. We're going to take you through the steps. We're going to show you everything you need to know about how to get this clear coat applied and how to save some money while doing it. And this is a vehicle that we'll be repairing today. It is one of our service loaner vehicles, and we would like to get it back on the road today with a quick fix that we're doing right here. We've already de-trimmed it and removed the emblems, and we're ready to apply some base coat right in this area. Can we see we popped the bumper off just a little bit so we can get paint all around the edge. Now this is a rather simple job that we'll be doing here. We'll show you how to do some base coat and pearl blending, but most importantly, we need to get this whole entire thing cleared. And so basically how a paint job will work or a blend job when doing a collision work is you would blend the color first. Now this is all OEM sanded clear coat. And what that means is we've sanded it enough so that we don't burn through the clear, but we've sanded it so it's dull so it can, well, accept new paint without peeling or chipping or anything like that. So basically we've sanded the whole surface with an 800 grit, and what we're gonna be doing is blending color within the front of the fender and then applying our clear coat to the rest of the fender. As we can see here, this is the edge of the fender, and if we were to put paint here, although we're using the same paint coat, it will never match the door, especially on the pearl. So what we really want to aim to do is blend within the front of the fender and keep it away from the back here. For a job just like this, since it's so small, it will be very, very easy. And of course, the easiest jobs sometimes turn out to be the hardest. So we want to make sure we're following our procedures and techniques. And I can't wait to show you about the clear we're using today. And one of the main reasons why I love this clear is because the guys in the garage can use it. It dries fairly quick. We need to get this loaner back on the road. You need to get your projects out of dust before things fall on them in your home garage. And it's exactly why it's my #1 budget do-it-yourself clear coat. Now the first thing I'll do is I'll use my water-based cleaner, and this is going to remove any sort of contaminants from your fingers or anything in the atmosphere, fallout, or anything that's landed on the panel, tree sap, those types of things. Now guys at home, I've told you before, you can use spray away glass cleaner for this. It does the same exact thing, and it's available on Amazon. What I try to do for you guys is, get products you can use on Amazon so you can get it right to your home. You don't have to go find a jobber. So I try to give you substitute products that you can use instead of the real thing. And then what we're using here is a solvent. A solvent cleaner, a prep all, which I'll link again, is something that will be used for contaminants such as oil, grease. Let's say a mechanic was working on this car or a technician was working on this vehicle and they're working on the brakes and they touch the fender. Well, those contaminants will not allow paint to flow onto the panel. It won't allow it to lay onto the panel, and it will create what we call fish eyes, or in some case, a series of fish eyes. Now, prior to this vehicle coming into the paint booth, I do wash all my vehicles with degreaser one step just to help out with any fish eyes, and I will tell you, it has helped out tremendously. We are ready for our base coat, so let's start our blend. For something as small as this, I'm using less than 1 ounce of paint here. Now, over in this area, what I'll do is I'll blend it out, and you'll see I'm using my 3M gun for a lot of what we're doing today, just because it's so versatile and easy to clean out. I have my pressure around 18 PSI, and I'm lightly gonna cover this area. Just a little bit of a blend. The most important thing we can do right now is allow it to flash off first. And now it's completely flashed. And flash is a term for drying in between coats. So this is good enough for 1 coat. I'm gonna apply 1 more and that should be fine. So basically I fanned out my color into this area. The only concern I'll have is between the bumper and the fender matching. But it's a pretty good color match. Although bumpers and fenders will never match perfectly, we always want to make sure our fender matches our door. That's what's most important here. We're gonna allow this to last for a good 10 minutes, and then we'll apply our pearl coat just a little bit further. Now with the pearl, I'll lightly take my tack rag and go over the surface, picking up any lint that may have fallen. At this point, I'm gonna do 2 coats of pearl, and for the most part, I do them back to back. I will allow about 1 minute in between coats since it's such a small area. All right, and that's 1 coat. You might have noticed that I try to stay away from this edge because I want to make sure that my hood also matches my fender. We can see how small of an area it originally was, but how far you'll have to take your paint to make sure it blends well. If you have the room, make sure you use it. If you try to contain it too much, sometimes what can happen is you'll be able to tell exactly where the paint was. It's been about 1 minute flash time, and I'll apply 1 more coat of pearl. And that's gonna do it. Now you could have waited a little bit longer in between coats, but for something so small, it doesn't really matter. If you're doing the whole side of the vehicle, sometimes that's your flash time right there because it takes a long time to do those pearl coats, and as you're putting down the pearl, it dries. Now we're gonna allow this to flash for 20 minutes before clear coat, and that's exactly what I want to talk to you right now is the clear coat we're gonna be using. Now there's 2 variations of this clear that you can use. There's the FC720 and there's the FC710. For this particular job, the FC710 would probably most likely be a better candidate for what we are doing. The FC710 is more for spot panel, 1 panel, 2 panel, and it dries quicker. The FC720 is for more overall. So if you guys plan on painting your whole car, you're going to want to go with the FC720. If you're going to be doing spot panels, 1 or 2 panels, and you want something a little bit quicker, the FC710 will be better for you, and we use the FC710 in many of our videos before. You can see here on the side, it's a 4:1 mixing ratio, and you're still going to be using the same hardeners. Now the one thing I love about this clear coat is it does come in a quart size. You can see the pint size hardener right here. So if you just want to try it out, and well, it's very fairly priced and you can get it right on Amazon. Now there's 3 different hardeners that you can use. There's a 611, 612, and 613. I like the 612 because it's a medium hardener and it will do just what you want. Now if you have a hotter climate, use the 613 because it's going to be for a much hotter environment and it's going to work much better if you're doing more than a few panels. Since we're only doing 1 panel here, we'll go ahead and we'll use the 612. Now the FC720, it will flow out a little bit better than the FC710, but they're both great clears to use, and once again, a very budget clear coat. This clear mixes up 4:1, and we found our PPS cup. It has a liner. Now on this particular cup, it allows you to read it from the inside, so you'll find 4 on this side, 1:1. Now we're going to ignore that last one because it's only 4:1 mixing ratio. For here, we're going to mix it all the way up to 5 because that's the most amount that we can possibly use for this mixing ratio. So it'll go up to the first 5, and then our hardener will go up to the next. I'll show you right here. We've went up to our first 5, and now we'll fill the rest with our hardener. And you can see here, it's mixed up to our next 5. Now, one of the main reasons why I would recommend this for a do-it-yourselfer or someone that's working at home is because it dries fairly quick. Now, if you're using the FC710, which I've used many times in my garage, even when I was painting at my parents' house, I wanted to get stuff dry so I don't have to worry about things falling into the paint. That's one of the biggest issues do-it-yourself painters will have is you might have a product or a finish that looks fantastic, and then a bug or a gnat or something from the ceiling just falls into the paint, and at that time it's just too late. Now that's not an issue you're going to run into if you're using the FC710, the faster one, or even the FC720 as an overall clear, because that is going to kick a lot faster and, well, of course, under $200 and much cheaper than that depending on what size or quart or gallon you get. You can't beat the price shipped right to your door. A lot of people on YouTube, Paint Society, they just don't know where to find their paint products, and I wanted to give you a good option here. So it's been about a good 20 minutes since we've mixed the clear coat. I'm going to show you how I apply the clear coat so we get a beautiful finish. And one of the reasons why I love this clear coat so much is because it just gives you a beautiful factory finish. I'm going to be spraying it out of our PPS Performance paint gun, and we're going to be using a 1.3 fluid tip. Now you can use a 1.2 if you like, or even a 1.4, but keep in mind as you use a bigger fluid tip, you're going to have to move a little bit faster or increase your distance from the panel so you're not so close. Let's go ahead into the paint booth and spray down our first coat. Now when you go to apply this product, you want to make sure you get the panel fully wet. You don't want any areas that are dry, because if something does fall into the panel, you're going to have a hard time getting it out because you don't have any substance underneath. So we'll spray down our whole panel, but we won't make it fully wet and glossy. We just want to get the paint on it and make sure we don't have any dry spots. For this, we're going to be using 20 psi on our 3M Performance spray gun. We can see here after that first coat of clear coat how beautiful it looks because it really levels out. This is one of the reasons why I love this Budget Clear, is because it does have a lot of body to it and it does smooth out very well, and it's very easy to spray. It is a little bit cooler here in South Florida, so we're going to allow this to flash a good 8 minutes instead of our regular 5 or 6. Give it a few extra minutes just to kick up a little bit. And after our flash time has elapsed, we'll lay down this coat a little bit wetter. And just like that, it's all clear. We just finished spraying. Now the job from start to finish, from the time it hits the paint booth and it's all masked, we're looking at around 30 to 35 minutes, and we're ready to allow this to dry and get it out of the booth. Now if you're using that FC710, the faster, the spot panel clear coat, you're gonna allow about 30 minutes and it's probably gonna be good to unmask. If you're using the FC720, the little bit more of the overall clear coat, I want you to give it a good 45 minutes to an hour before you start to unmask, because we don't want any bridging. At that point, well, way before that, it's going to be dust free, so you don't have to worry about bugs or anything falling into your clear coat. A really easy clear coat to spray. We sprayed it around 18 to 20 psi in a 3M spray gun, but if you're using a different spray gun, maybe a Sada or maybe even an Iwata, you might want to bump the pressure up a little bit, around 27 psi. Remember, when you adjust your pressure, do it within 2 or 3 pounds up or down, and generally just watch to see what the paint is doing. If it's coming out too orange peely, what you can do sometimes is you can bump it up a little bit, get a little bit closer, and that will help flow it on. If you got too much pressure, you're going to be spraying too much air and not enough paint on the panel. It'll be dry, so lower the pressure a little bit, maybe get a little bit closer and watch that paint go on. We're going to give this a good 30 minutes, check it out, see how dry it is, and pull it out of the spray booth and check out the finish. there you have it. We're all done, and we got it all done within a day, from entering the paint booth to applying our base coat and our fast drying clear coat. We assembled it back, and it's ready to hit the road for one of our loaner customers. Now, there's many different options in this auto body world as far as clear coats are concerned, and finding the best option is really up to you, the consumer. What do you need it for? What will you be using it on? Today we gave you two great options from Finish One, our FC710 and our FC720 that you can use. Now, we usually hear on a loaner vehicle, if you plan on giving a warranty, if you're working for a body shop and this was a customer's car, then you should stick within the same paint brands from primers, base coat, and clear coat, just to avoid any possibility of products not working well together. In this case, this worked perfect. It looks amazing, and it's ready to get back on the road. I hope you learned something, and I can't wait to hear from you. Have you used this clear coat before, or do you plan on using it in the future? I'll leave a link to everything you need in the description down below, as well as some other products that we use along the way on this video and, well, on Paint Society's channel. Guys, this is Brian from Paint Society reminding you, don't overthink it. It's just paint. Let's check it out.